In the world of cinema and TV, villains are often seen as the obstacles to our heroes. But what if they're not the bad guys at all? Some of the most iconic antagonists in pop culture have complex motives that make us reconsider who's truly in the right. From questioning morality to exposing hidden truths, here are 10 more villains who were actually right all along. 10. Puss in Boots, The Last Wish shows the titular protagonist embarking on his most important and dangerous quest yet. When Puss in Boots finds out he has used up 8 of his 9 lives, he must travel to the location of the mythical last wish to restore them, but discovers something about himself and his relationships along the way. Stalking Puss on this journey is the terrifying wolf, Wagner Moura, who is later revealed to be Death himself. Every encounter with the wolf, now considered DreamWorks' best villain yet, is nerve-wracking, with Puss's hairs standing on the back of his neck to prove it. However, the wolf, or Death, does make a good point about how Puss squandered his lives, never truly stopping to appreciate or actually make the most of them. The only time he leaves Puss alone is when he senses that Puss is ready to devote his energy to really living, and not just carelessly throwing away precious moments, like the ones the protagonist shares with Kitty Softpaws and the new fan-favorite character, Perito. 9. Killmonger was right about Wakanda's isolationism. Black Panther. Part of what made Black Panther such a huge hit and an absolute shoo-in for the popular film Oscar was the absolutely riveting performance from Michael B. Jordan as the film's antagonist, Killmonger. Denied his birthright and rejected by his isolated kingdom, Killmonger felt it was wrong that such an advanced civilization hid away while inhuman acts of cruelty existed in the world, and promoted an idea of an armed Pan-African uprising. Though his methods were excessive, taking innocent lives and guided more by fury than compassion, his announced motive not only resonated with audiences but ultimately T'Challa himself. In the end, T'Challa recognized the importance of reaching out to the world and the African diaspora, though through diplomatic rather than militaristic means. 8. Roy Batty was in pain. Blade Runner. The Oscar-winning sequel, Blade Runner 2049, had many suggesting it equaled or even surpassed the original, but one element fell flat. Jared Leto's mustache-twirling Neander Wallace couldn't hold a candle to the original film's antagonist, Roy Batty. Batty's terrific antagonism is a major reason that Blade Runner is considered to be one of the greatest sci-fi films of all time. Batty is arguably the most relatable villain of contemporary science fiction. His plight is an analog to man's own struggle with mortality, his destructive path to confront his creator and demand more time equal to humanity's own struggles against the finality of death. In the end, Deckard can't see Batty as an enemy, but as a sympathetic, sentient android, in pain, desperate to find some meaning in his unnecessarily brief existence. 7. The Hyenas, The Lion King, 1994. It should go without saying that hyenas are carnivores. They need to eat meat to survive. It's not their fault that Simba was in the wrong place at the wrong time in The Lion King. Besides the fact that Simba, being a lion, isn't exactly innocent himself. He may not have actually eaten meat on screen, but he's a carnivore too, and it's doubtful that he only ate salads throughout his childhood. Granted, conspiring with Scar, the usurper of the throne, isn't exactly a great look for them, but their motivation for doing so is because they want the right to hunt in the Pride Lands, which is lion territory. Basically, the lions, at the top of the food chain, are always getting good prey, and the hyenas want some of it too. It doesn't exactly matter who strays in their path, as the predators likely don't differentiate between the royal status of their prey, even in The Lion King. They're starving and just want their next meal. Who can blame them for that? 6. Mr. Glass proved his point. Unbreakable, Split. M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable was a film wildly ahead of its time, receiving critical reappraisal in the wake of the surprise sequel, Split. Initially, after audiences unfairly expected the follow-up to Sixth Sense to have a twist equal to the former, the reveal that Mr. Glass had been the cause of the accident that revealed David Dunn's powers was perceived as a letdown. However, the decision not only created a fascinating dynamic of a hero born out of a villain's need for an arch-enemy, but also proved that Glass was right all along. He has had no qualms about being the worst person around in order to find an unbreakable man, and ultimately, he did. He was absolutely evil, but he also wasn't wrong. 5. Caecilius saw through the Ancient One's hypocrisy. Doctor Strange. Caecilius isn't one of the more memorable villains of the MCU, but one has to question whether he's really a villain at all. He's introduced to us as the one who betrayed the teachings of the Ancient One, who sought a dark power to achieve immortality. Caecilius, it is revealed, lost his wife and daughter and looked to magic as a way to release the world from the inevitability of death, an idea the Ancient One rejected. When Caecilius discovered that the Ancient One was using the same dark magic she'd dissuaded him from seeking to keep herself alive, he rightfully began to see all her teachings as built on hypocrisy. Perhaps turning to Dormammu was the wrong call, but Caecilius was certainly right in feeling betrayed by the Ancient One and seeking immortality for all mankind. 4. Gorr the God Butcher. Was right about the gods. Thor, God of Thunder. There's a lot to love from Jason Aaron's run on Thor, God of Thunder, but the absolute highlight has to be Gorr the God Butcher. Comic fans had to root against him when he came to blows with our beloved Thor, but we can't say he had the worst reasoning. Son of a nameless father and born on a nameless world, Gorr led a life full of pain. Though taught to pray to the gods, he came to believe they did not exist when none of his prayers were answered. After their existence was proven to him that gods did indeed rule over all worlds, but spent their time carousing and drinking in their Elysian fields rather than looking after their flocks, Gorr swore to destroy all gods and free the world. 3. Koba was right about humans. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Koba is the clear villain of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, hateful of humans where Caesar sees peace, and even framing humans for the death of Caesar and his family in order to escalate a conflict between man and ape. Nobody would argue Koba was right. That is, until the sequel. Koba's actions were monstrous, but his motive for doing so was the idea that man and ape could not coexist and that war would soon break out. He wanted to have the ape forces prepared and preemptively strike before the army of man grew stronger, and even more, ape lives would be lost. To watch the follow-up, War for the Planet of the Apes, and see Caesar's peace give way to violent war, audiences realize Koba's predictions came true. 2. The machines made the best of a bad situation. The Matrix and Animatrix. The machines have enslaved humanity, trapped them in an alternate reality while sapping their bodies for energy. Morpheus and his band of rebels seek to free humanity from the bondage they had been placed in by the machines. He and his allies certainly seem like the heroes in the Matrix franchise. If audiences watch the Animatrix, however, it's revealed that humanity created the machines that eventually enslaved them. When those machines developed consciousness, they sought peaceful coexistence, only to be chased out by humans. Even after forming their own isolated colony, humanity still sought to wipe them out. Faced with an us or them scenario, the machines found the only way that both life forms could survive, by creating the Matrix. 1. Magneto was always right about mutant equality. X-Men. Magneto might well be Marvel's finest villain because his evil agenda is really a matter of perspective. Having been a young boy who witnessed the horrors of the Holocaust, Magneto is aware of humanity's tendency to expel and exterminate the other out of fear and wants to ensure that his people are capable of fighting back. It's hard to defend any of Magneto's actions, but ideologically he's less opposed to Xavier and rather the other side of the same coin. Though Xavier favors the diplomatic, while Magneto has a decidedly more militaristic approach, time and again, humanity has proven Magneto's suspicions right. While striving for a peaceful resolution to the conflict should be the ultimate goal, it keeps humanity's worst instincts at bay, knowing the mutants have more violent means if pushed. So there you have it, the best villains of 2024. From killer clowns to anxiety-inducing emotions, these characters reminded us why we love to hate the bad guys. Which one sent shivers down your spine? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget, without villains, movies would just be 2 hours of people politely solving problems. Until next time, stay villainous.